Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the franchise discussion category. This video will be dedicated to the recap and thoughts for issue 24 of the Young Justice tie-in comics, Players Chapter 5. We begin this issue at Karak on December 1st, during the time frame of Season 1, where Deadshot is standing on a rooftop in the capital city, and he launches a rocket towards Karak's president, Ruman Harjafti. Superman flies in front of President Harjafti in order to intercept the rocket, but the rocket suddenly changes direction at the last second. Superboy is able to spot Deadshot's location, and Miss Martian enters camouflage mode, intending to help Superman out with dealing with the rocket. And Superboy says he'll be sure to join in on helping them once he's able to get a chance to do so, to get clear of the crowd, in other words. After Miss Martian goes to help Superman out, Superboy opens up the container of the shields, the patches that Lex Luthor gave him in the episode Agendas, and Superboy places one of the patches on his arm. So now Superboy will have access to the full Kryptonian power set. But before Superboy has the chance to join Miss Martian and Superman with stopping the rocket ends up exploding near Superman and Miss Martian. And while those heroes are distracted, Deadshot takes aim at Karak's president once again, and he launches a different weapon towards Karak's president. We then jump ahead of time 5 years, and we're in Metropolis now, where Beast Boy and Bumblebee are climbing down the hole in Metropolis to reach the probe that Brainiac, aka the Collector of Worlds, had sent to Metropolis to generate the force field that now surrounds the city. Beast Boy admits that he still has reservations about leaving Miss Harjafti, but Bumblebee once again tries to reassure Beast Boy that only Bibbo and Miss Harjafti's bodyguard know her current location, and she's certain that Miss Harjafti will be safe at Bibbo's diner for the time being. So eventually, Beast Boy and Bumblebee do arrive at the bottom of the hole where they find the probe. Elsewhere in Metropolis, Plastic Man, who's outside of the force field, can only watch as Batgirl has to confront Match. And Batgirl is trying to contact Black Lightning through the comm link in order to see if he'll be able to help her out. Black Lightning says that he and Jim Harper are trying to get to Batgirl's location, but they're being held up by a bunch of looters. There's a lot of looters that are going crazy with Metropolis being trapped in a force field. So Black Lightning and Jim Harper are being held up by these looters. And outside the force field yet again, Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Atom end up falling on top of the force field after Brainiac opened up a hatch to get them off his spacecraft. Now, next up, we head to Killstar's spacecraft, and Miss Martian and Lagoon Boy have finally reached the spacecraft. And unfortunately, though, there doesn't seem to be any way for them to enter the spacecraft, and they're unable to blast their way through through the spacecraft or make their own entrance. So only Miss Martian will be able to enter using the ability to phase through solid materials. So Miss Martian is going to phase through the spacecraft, which means Lagoon Boy will have to stay behind. Lagoon Boy admits that even though he complains, he does know that what his responsibilities are, and he wishes Miss Martian luck in helping out the 4 Justice League members and Superboy who are on Killstar's spacecraft. And within the spacecraft, we do see that the 5 heroes are still having a hard time against Killstar, or Killstar has a clear upper hand against the 5 heroes. Wonder Woman realizes that rather than only taking their own power into consideration, they should try to coordinate a team attack, and that might give them an advantage against Killstar. Back in Metropolis, Nightwing tries to communicate with Martian Manhunter through the comlink, and this causes Martian Manhunter to regain consciousness. Using his telekinesis, he's able to lift Flash and Atom, who are still unconscious, to get them to safety, but Martian Manhunter responds to Nightwing to see how their status is going, and Nightwing confirms that himself, Wonder Girl, Zatanna, Blue Beetle, and Sphere were able to navigate through Brainiac's spacecraft without Brainiac detecting them, thanks to the glamour spell that Zatanna casted, which surrounds these individuals in a force field, and anyone outside of the force field can't see or hear whoever's in the force field. So everything seems to be going well so far. While they're trying to find somewhere to give them a clue of what Brainiac is up to, Blue Beetle talks to Zatanna, mentioning that he saw her entering the Justice League on the news earlier. And Zatanna gives Blue Beetle some backstory, like how she was originally part of the Young Justice team, and that Nightwing was actually the first Robin. And she also explains how the Young Justice team are the reason why the public doesn't know about the Young Justice team is because they're supposed to go on covert missions. And she does confirm that, yes, she is the daughter of Zatanna, who was also a member of the Justice League. But when Blue Beetle wonders whatever happened to Zatanna, Zatanna simply responds that he retired. Eventually, the group managed to enter a room within Brainiac's spacecraft. At first, Blue Beetle thinks that they're dioramas, but Nightwing soon figures out that these are real cities from other planets. And taking a closer look, Nightwing notices that there seems to be life within these shrunken cities, and he realizes what Brainiac is trying to do. And Plastic Man, that's right, we cut outside of Brainiac's spacecraft, and Plastic Man also figures out what Brainiac is trying to do. The energy beam coming from Brainiac's spacecraft is slowly shrinking whatever is within it's slowly shrinking the city within the force field, because he notices there's now a trench where the force field originally covered. So the force field is now covering a smaller amount. Although Plastic Man realizes that won't matter for Batgirl when it comes, because right now she has her hands full dealing with Match. And Batgirl does comment that she was able to distract Match long enough to she's been distracting Match by dodging him for about an hour. And that distracted Match long enough for everyone in the park to escape. But Batgirl realizes that Black Lightning and Jim Harper are not going to be able to make it to the area to help her in time, and she admits that she's running on fumes at this point in time. So she needs to figure out a way to put a stop to Match's rampage as soon as possible. She manages to take out a pellet from her utility belt, and she manages to activate the pellet, which causes a smoke screen. Batgirl ends up being flung towards the force field, and she seems to have become unconscious. But when the smoke screen clears, we see that the pellet unleashed some kind of substance around Match's head. Whatever this substance is, it is causing Match to suffocate, and eventually he becomes unconscious as a result. Shortly after Match loses consciousness, a LexCorp van arrives into the park. We then head back to Killstar's spacecraft, where the 5 heroes actually put together a coordinated teamwork attack, and it actually succeeds. The 5 heroes working together are able to get the better of Killstar, and they manage to defeat him as well. Unfortunately, though, their victory doesn't last too long, because Orb 1 manages to summon several other orbs which are emitting the inhibitor noise. Worse, and if that wasn't bad enough, Captain Atom and Captain Marvel realize that the orbs have now adapted to their other forms, because they try to transform into their civilian identities, but the inhibitor noise is as strong as ever. So now it looks like the heroes are in a real disadvantage against Killstar. Back in Metropolis, Black Lightning and Jim Harper succeeded in stopping the looters, and Black Lightning tries to encourage any other civilians in Metropolis to return to their respective homes. And while they're doing that, we also see Bumblebee has shrunken in size, and Beast Boy has taken on the form of a cockroach. They both intend to go inside of Brainiac's probe in order to take it apart from the inside out. And on Brainiac's spacecraft, Nightwing, Blue Beetle, Zatanna, Wonder Girl, and Sphere are trying to figure out a way to shut down the energy beam that Brainiac's spacecraft is using to shrink Metropolis. And Nightwing says they'll try to figure out what to do about the other cities from other planets after they figure out how to save Metropolis. Zatanna notices, though, that her glamour force field is wearing off, and as it's wearing off, Brainiac reveals he's aware of their presence on his spacecraft, and the issue ends with Brainiac attacking the group of heroes. So there you go. We have the second to last part of this 6-part story. And this particular part was more, I would say this part was more action heavy. There was a lot of action sequences, and it definitely helped to kind of clear up, it brought an end to a resolution. It brought a resolution to certain scenes, but it also created more suspenseful scenes. Like, for example, Killstar, while the 5 heroes fighting Killstar did manage to get the upper hand against him, Killstar had managed to counter with the orbs that are making those inhibitor noises to trap them in. They weren't trapped in crystal prisons just yet, but those orbs probably will do so. And the fact that those orbs adapted to Captain Atom and Captain Marvel's civilian identities means that, unfortunately, it seems that the trick they used to escape them the first time around isn't going to work this time. So But thankfully, Miss Martian was able to enter Killstar's spacecraft. So Miss Martian Miss Martian's going to help those 5 heroes out. It's just a matter of how it's going to play out in the last part. And we also see, for resolutions, Batgirl was able to defeat Match, but and Batgirl was able to hold Match off long enough in order for the civilians to escape, and she was able to figure out a way to defeat Match because Match is exceptionally powerful enough to give Superboy a run for his money, even when he was using the shields. Because, even when Superboy had full Kryptonian powers, he still had a hard time dealing with Match. And it's implied that this version of Match is even more powerful than he was in Season 1. And so an ordinary human would be at a severe disadvantage against Match in a head-on battle. But Batgirl was able to use strategy to defeat Match. And that's always a good point, because just because you might be up against an opponent who's more powerful than you, that doesn't mean that they're automatically going to win a battle. You can still use strategy and wits to defeat a more powerful opponent. So that was good that we got to see some attention for Batgirl, and it was good that they showed her win with strategy up against Match. And we also found out Brainiac's goal was to shrink a city from the... he wanted to shrink at a city from the planets that he visits. And that's in line with some adaptations of Brainiac. He was known to kind of turn cities into dioramas, essentially. And now Brainiac is aware of the group of heroes that are on his spacecraft, and the issue ended with that cliffhanger. So, like I said, there's some resolutions, but also some cliffhangers. And that's right, we do get a scene that takes place during the time frame of Season 1, and in this case, it's Deadshot making his attempt to eliminate President Harjafti, and Superman and Miss Martian were distracted by the rocket, so Deadshot was using that as a distraction in order to make his actual attempt to take President Harjafti's life, although Superboy could still help out. And while it's true that the shields do make Superboy more powerful because he has full Kryptonian powers when he uses a shield, it also makes him lose control of his anger. He becomes even angrier when he's using the shields. So we'll see how that conflict resolves itself in the last part, because we have only one more part of this 6-part story left to go. And as of the recording of this video, this is also the last part or the last issue of the tie-in comics. So we'll see how this all resolves itself in the recap and thoughts video dedicated to the next part. But overall, there we go for now. As of this video, we've now discussed issue 24 of the Young Justice tie-in comics on this channel. Take care, and until next time,